So now it's time to take a look at the actual game. We know we've got divisions. We've got North, South, East, and West, and you go to the website to find out who's in what place. You've got 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, but what is the game itself? I mean, seriously, like if you were to ask me about hockey, I wouldn't be able to tell you other than there's a puck on the ice and some guys chase it. So some people go like that about football. I don't know. There's a bunch of guys on the field. There's this pigskin right here, and they throw it around and chase each other for it. What is the game?
Well, see, the concept of the game is simple. It's like any other sporting event in America, as well as any sporting event in the world. Who can outscore the opponent? The great thing about the National Football League is we play on a 100-yard field, and it's just a share over 50 yards wide. But the object of those 11 men on offense, we're going to call those offense because when you're in offense, that means you're taking charge. Defense means you're trying to stop the opponent. And basically what you have is 3 ways of scoring points in the National Football League. You can either score it my favorite way, which is hand the ball off to the darn running back. Let me run it.
Of course.
You can do it the glamorous way. You can throw it through the air and you get the beautiful catches. Or you can do it what many people think is the easiest way, which is actually the hardest way you'll ever score a point, is to kick it. And I'll give you a little idea of that a little later as we start talking about really some of the schematics about the football field. But when you take the opportunity to look at these offensive players going against the defense, the object is really to stop the offensive players from moving the ball and scoring. And the offense, of course, is let's cross the goal line and get 6 points.
So the way we move the ball, well, to get out on the field, let's get the guys on the field. The captains come out. Who decides who gets to go first?
Well, there's the beauty of our game. We always let a coin decide. Officials come out. We have about 7 officials that go within the game. We'll talk about some of their calls a little later in the season as well. But they flip the coin. The captains call heads or tails. Whoever wins the call, you can decide to receive the ball or to defer it for the second half. And at that point, the game begins. So the 11 offensive men come onto the field. The defensive men, their 11, come on the field. The game is played 11 versus 11. And at that point, the field is also basically divided into 5-yard increments. And within that 5 yards, we have what's called our chains. Those chains are a 10-yard length of chains, which basically is how you move the ball down the field. You have 4 downs to move 10 yards to get another first down, or if you only get there in 3 and you see that you're not going to make it there in 4, you do the obvious thing, which is to punt it away, and that's when defense then becomes offense.
Okay, we might have lost some people on that one. Okay, because you talked a lot of stuff that I understand because I grew up with all brothers.
Okay.
So, on the field, there's markers. It's every 10 yards are the big markers. Okay, so every 10 yards. So it starts out at 0, then there's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, which is in the middle. Yeah. And then it goes 40, 30, 20, 10.
Correct.
That's where you score.
Yeah, it basically is from 5 yards to 50 yards. So if you break the game up in halves, you got a 5-yard line that takes you all the way up to the 50. Now you're at the halfway point of the field, and you got another 5 yard that brings you to the 50. You're at another half yard. So that just gives you 100 yards of field.
And then for downs, you actually have 4 chances,
yeah, 4
opportunities to go 10 yards.
Exactly.
And that would be your first down. So wherever you start from. So let's say they've kicked the ball, offense has caught it on the 20-yard line. To get a first down, they've got to move to the 30-yard line. So they do their first play, and they get 2 yards. So it's second down
and
8 to go.
Exactly.
And that means there's 8 yards left to go.
Correct.
So when they say second down 8, 3rd and 1. 3rd and 1 means it's your 3rd try. You've got 1 yard left to get your 10. Because when you get 10, you get to start all over again with 4 more tries.
And if you don't get the 1 yard on the 3rd down, you can take your chance on 4th and 1 to go for it. Of course, you better be on the other side of the field because if you don't get it on that last play, you get what we call a short field to go and try and score.
Okay, so let's talk now about, we've got an idea that we've got 4 chances to get 10 yards every time. If you don't get the ball 10 yards in 4 chances, you got to give up the ball.
Well, you have to. You will be giving it up because that's when offense down becomes defense and defense down becomes offense.
And you send new players out.
You send completely different players.
New guys.
That's when you see that in the game you'll hear the terminology defensive unit and you'll see offensive unit. That's basically guys who specialize in those areas. As a running back, I was an offensive specialist. So when defense went out on the field, I took it to the bench.
And sat down.
Sat down in the cool air-conditioned blowers.
There you go. There you go. And very seldom do, like in high school sports and in college sometimes, guys will go what they call both ways.
Correct.
Sometimes they'll play offense and defense. Seldom in professional does a guy play offense and defense.
Very seldom. There have been exceptions. You've got a guy like Deion Sanders who was capable of playing wide receiver, but he was really a defensive specialist. He was better as a defensive back. Very seldom. Devin Hester, who's in the game today with the Chicago Bears, he was actually drafted to play defensive back for the Chicago Bears. Was not that great of a defensive back, so they moved him over to where he does his thing. He can catch the ball. He's actually a specialist, but now they're playing him at the wide receiver position, which we'll get into positions a little later as well.
So, but sometimes a guy on defense will play what they call special teams. Let's talk about what a special team is, because you have your offense, which takes the ball for scoring. You have defense, which tries to stop the offense and sometimes gets the ball and scores.
Correct.
And then you've got special teams. When they say, here comes special teams, the special teams unit, what is that?
Well, there are different types of special teams. Let's take advantage of the special team that we were talking about just a few seconds ago, punting the ball. When the punt comes on, that generally is on fourth down. When one unit can't make the first down, now they have to punt the ball away. Basically, it means the entire team is going to come off the field in some instances, and they're going to send what's called the special unit for punting. That means a punter, that's all he does in the National Football League, is punt the ball. Not a bad job to have.
No.
But then you get your linemen out there, and you tend to be defensive backs or specialists who can tackle. Because now that offensive team that is going to punt the ball, on the way down, when that ball leaves his foot, now they become defensive players. And then the same goes for the defensive players. They generally send their punt return team out, and they become offensive players. So basically, you've got a punt specialist team, you have kickoff special teams, you have kickoff return special teams, and just as I mentioned earlier, you have what's called a punt return special team.
And guys can move from defense onto special teams.
Correct.
Or offense onto special teams if they've got a specialist, they're special in that area. Okay. All right, so now you know about special teams, you know about offense, and you know about defense. What direction is defense going, ladies? They're stopping the ball. What's offense doing? They're trying to score. And we do it all in 4 downs. 4 attempts at a down, and you got to move that ball from where you caught it and started from to the end zone.
To the end zone. And one of the things that we should talk about at this point is also the game itself of football. The game of football is broken up into 4 quarters. So there's a time limit here for which an offense can go out on the field, because there's only 16 minutes in every quarter. 32 and a half, of course 64 in an hour. And a lot of people always wonder, well, why does it take so long? It takes 3 hours to play a game of football. Well, the game will stop on different downs and possessions and turnovers. In our case, when we talk about punting the ball. Once that ball is kicked, the clock starts. When the ball is tackled, when that man receives the ball, or is either tackled or he waves his hand as a fair catch, the clock will stop. Those are times when the clock actually stops. But other than that, that clock will continue to run, kind of like the overseas football game that never stops.
Right.
But that's when our clock stops for us.
Okay, so each quarter is how long?
16 minutes.
16 minutes. Now, has there ever been a quarter where a team has kept the ball the whole 16 minutes?
It's probably impossible, because it probably only takes I think the max I've ever seen on one occasion is someone kept the ball for about 10 minutes and they actually scored at the end. To go down, all the way down the field, it could take about 10 minutes, but generally, defense as a whole, on the average, most teams hold the ball about 3 to 4 minutes.